Before we begin, we'd like to remind you that Forex trading involves significant risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Please pause the screen and read the full disclosure. Thank you.
Okay. All right, so the EURUSD outlook, we're still, today we had it confirmed that there is not a rate change, and from listening to Trichet's press conference, I didn't sense that there's a rate change anywhere on the near-term horizon, certainly not in the first half of this year. The Eurozone, this has been going on for weeks now. We've been hearing about Greece and Portugal, Iceland, Ireland, Greece, Spain. The financial press calls it pigs. Greece, they believed that they were going to settle things this week, but really I think that Greece came out with its plan. The EU Commission put their rubber stamp on the plan, but if you look at the plan, there's a lot of questions about whether or not they can achieve those goals, and there's some fairly aggressive targets that have been set. I mean, Greece needs to put in some fairly draconian tax hikes, hikes on crude oil. They also need to cut public sector employment and wages. I'm sure the unions are going to love that in a heavily unionized part of the world. I don't really know that they're going to be able to accomplish their wage cutting goals, and I'm not altogether sure that they can meet their GDP goals, which are fairly aggressive, and a somewhat major reduction of their debt. I mean, their debt is somewhere around 10% of GDP right now. They need to get it down to the target rate for the whole Eurozone of 3% in very short order. They're looking at less than 2 years. That's pretty aggressive. I think that anybody that's a skeptic of the plan that Greece has put forth is probably just being a conservative commentator. And even Trichet had, he wasn't as confident in explaining why he thought all of those goals were going to be able to be hit today. He kind of handed the baton back to Greece and basically said, you've picked these goals, now you got to meet them, and kind of push them back under the bus. Spain, a larger economy than Greece, is now kind of in the headlight, and as is Portugal. This is kind of like a flu that's spreading rather than a minor blow up that's now been contained. I just don't see a whole lot of fundamental great news out of the Eurozone right now, and I think that the talk of the budget problems in these countries is going to continue on for weeks, if not months, to come. The data continues to be mixed this week. Let's take a look real quick. I mean, retail sales in the Eurozone were off. They were basically flat at 0% on expectations of a raise of 0.4%. Here again, it's not, there isn't a sustainable month-to-month trend that shows that all of the sectors that need to be, clicking on all 8 cylinders are really happening in Europe. And to be fair, I mean, the same kind of thing is happening in the U.S. However, right now, the euro is definitely on the back foot. Near-term sentiment is bearish. 3-month sentiment is bearish. Now let's take a look at the chart. Let me see. I need to share my screen here. So let's, here we are with the weekly chart on the euro. I think the story pretty much tells itself right there. We had several weeks in a row where we're falling. We had this little bit of a correction here, and actually in the middle of this week, early to middle of this week, we did have a correction here. Let's go to the daily so we can see it. To be fair, we had a little bit of a correction back up. We came up to let's see, the high they're calling it on this chart is 40.26. and that was right under, what the support that had been broken has now become resistance. Really to get this little bit of a retrace, I mean, I was really expecting an attempt at up here, which would have given me a little bit more confidence. But we got a little bit of a retrace, and then literally, let's take a look at an even shorter chart here, 4-hour chart. We had this kind of long, slow grind up to this level. Right here, look, once it broke 1.4 and the stops got hit, it did accelerate up to here, but then it literally hit like a brick wall and then fell like a rock. You can see in 8 hours we had already retraced half of this. In a day we had basically retraced that entire move. It took about half as long to come off as it did to build up. Any chance that the bulls were going to be back in charge was pretty soundly crushed. As the day started today, we were still trading above this support here. We were up in this area. Let's go back to a daily chart. So yeah, we had traded today. Yesterday now, we had traded as high as 39.02, but since then the bears have been solidly in charge again. Trichet's press conference today didn't really help things at all. He was dovish, if anything. He was pushing the idea that the U.S. wants a strong dollar, and to be fair, I don't think that Trichet has a problem with that. The euro continues to come off. Their opportunities for exports increase. So I don't think you're going to see much in the way of support, even if they wanted to, from the ECB right now, until the budget issues work their way off the headlines. I think that this is a bearish situation. I mean, I personally will be looking to sell rallies. Okay, one thing I have to say, as of this week, there's some new regulations the NFA has put through, so nothing I say here should be taken as a trade call. I'm not allowed to make a trade call on a webinar. So all I can do is say things that I'm looking at doing, and you need to do that accordingly as it relates to your own account. We can do trade calls off of our website, just not in video or webinar form. So here again, if you want those trade calls to be emailed to you when they happen and get them in live form, and also get a daily update that goes into a lot more detail every day about each market we trade, look at the website, become a member, and all that stuff will be yours. Unfortunately, the NFA is tightening up things to make it safer for you to trade, and I'm not allowed to make a call here. So I think that covers the EURUSD. I'd be looking for a pullback before I'd get too excited about doing anything. And one other thing to keep in mind, I mean, tomorrow's the NFP. The NFP can move the market 200 pips in one direction, 200 pips down in the other direction in about a minute and a half. So I'm not big on gambling with my trading account. I will likely be on the sidelines unless some just amazing opportunity pops up and gives me an opportunity to enter. But I look at the NFP day as something that sets the tone for the way the rest of this month will unfold. And I've rarely been in a situation where I've made so much money off the NFP trade that the rest of the month felt great. I'm generally on the sidelines watching the NFP. I mean, I don't take the day off, but I kind of look at it as a roulette wheel because it's very difficult, even when you look at the numbers that come out, it's very difficult to gauge which direction the market's actually going to go in. If anything, I'll wait a minimum of 15 minutes, half hour, an hour before I see a pullback into a level that I'd trade or some other opportunity. But at the moment of the release, it really is